Good morning. I want to start today by asking that everybody raise their hand. Because I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm that confident that this has happened to you. So here's the question. How many of you have been in a virtual meeting, have started speaking, and then realized that you were on mute? Yes, indeed, 100% of the audience. Excellent, hands down. Now I'm going to flip the question for you just a bit. And my encouragement is to keep your hands down and just internalize and answer the question for yourself. How many of you have been in a conversation, virtual, face-to-face, over the phone, and you're speaking, words are coming out of your mouth, but you feel like you are on mute? You feel like your message is just not landing. And I'm going to add another layer to this question. How many of you have felt that feeling of being on mute and realized you're the one muting yourself? You're the one holding back your ideas, your vision, your thoughts, your passions. My life's work and my keynotes, workshops, and coaching programs is addressing this feeling of being on mute. I redefine communication, I redefine storytelling, and I redefine emotional intelligence as tools for everyone, personally and professionally, to speak up our stories. And the reason why this is so relevant to me is because I lived most of my life muted. I was born in Mexico, and for better or for worse, when I was 9 years old, my family moved to the United States. And even though I had proficiency in English, I quickly learned that my English wasn't quite good enough for my classmates. I remember one instance in particular, we were working on some project, and I made a grammatical mistake. And the kids started laughing at me, and I stood up to really take a stand against it, and I said, "Hey, I know my English isn't good now, but it's going to get gooder." Not my goodest comeback ever. And from that moment, I created a story that I believe we all create, that in order to stay safe, I needed to stay silent. I needed to hold back. I needed to be small, so that I wouldn't be judged, ridiculed, or rejected. And since that time, I have uncovered through many, many life experiences, tools, strategies, and mindsets to speak up for myself, and made it my life mission to support those who are ready to speak up for themselves. And I want to give you a sneak peek at one of the most valuable lessons that I learned in powerfully communicating. Not just in communication, but also in every aspect of your life. And I want to take you back to 1999. I was a sophomore in college, and I was enrolled in a class that was very, very popular on campus. It was communication and fiction. And it was a Thursday evening class, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And 6 p.m. came around. No professor. 6:10 came around. No professor. 6:20 came around, and we're all chattering. There's 250 of us. Chatter, chatter, chatter. What should we do? What should we do? What should we do? And all of a sudden, we hear this booming voice through the walls and over the chatter. We could not believe that this voice halted everyone. The door slammed open, nearly knocked out some poor sophomore. And in walks this unbelievable, incredibly frail little man. I want you to think about Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. He walked slowly and deliberately, and he had a stack of papers that he slammed in the front of the podium. Not very hard because, again, he's a very frail little man. And as he slammed them down, he said, I know why you're here. I may be old, but I know the term C's get degrees. So I'm going to make a deal with you. On this stack of papers, there is an assignment. It is a 5-page paper. You do a little reading, a little research, a little writing. You submit the 5-page paper before the end of the semester. And you will get a C on that paper, and you will get a C in the class, and you can get your degree. You never have to show up to this class again. You don't have to post on message boards. You don't have to do a thing other than that paper. But if you want to learn how to communicate heart to heart, mind to mind, powerfully, confidently, with excellence, then I suggest you stay. If not, dismissed. And I thought, oh man, the joke is on this guy. Joke is on this guy because there's no way that anyone is going to hear that motivational speech and leave this classroom now. And the second I had that thought, immediately I heard thump. And if you don't know what a thump is, it is the sound of hundreds of people leaving a room. And I saw classmate after classmate take paper of mediocrity after paper of mediocrity after paper of mediocrity. Out of 250 of us enrolled, there were 12 of us left. And I saw him a little bit dejected, as if he knew this was going to happen, but he was really hoping that it wouldn't. And he said this: there are no shortcuts to excellence. And then he turned around and he wrote on the chalkboard, and it was a chalkboard. He wrote T, T, T. And he said, to communicate powerfully or to be excellent in anything in your life, you need the 3 T's. And the first one is talent. And in my full keynote, I unpack why it is that we resist speaking about the talents that we cultivate. Why it is that we hide behind the word humility and not showcase what we are truly, truly gifted in this world. And the next T is tenacity. And I love this word tenacity much more than resilience. Now, we hear the word resilience over and over, especially in the last few years. And resilience absolutely is a powerful value that we get to have. But if you notice the definitions, there's a slight grammatical shift. Resilience, the object of our attention, what gets our energy is the obstacle. When we are tenacious, we have a big vision. We are clear that we are up to big things in our lives. And we are clear that when we are up to big things in our lives, that big obstacles are going to come. So the energy, the focus is not on the obstacle. The energy, the focus is on who we are, knowing that our vision, our goals, where we are going is much bigger than even the biggest obstacle. And the last T is time. Now, this usually has a gurgling sensation in our stomachs because if we all could use a little bit more of is time. So when I say in order to be excellent at anything, you need to invest more time, the appropriate response is, you don't understand my calendar. And I get this because this is American culture. This pattern. Do, have, and be. We do, so we can have, so we can finally be. If I do the thing, if I speak at the showcase, if I get the deal, if I get the promotion, whatever it is that I'm doing, if I do all of these things, then I can have the vacation, I can have the car, I can have the time, I can have whatever it may be. And then I can finally be open and compassionate and generous and powerful and confident. But do you see what the threat this is? Because we're human beings, and the things that we do don't always work out. And then that becomes a threat to what we are going to have, which then becomes a threat to who we be. So my invitation to you today is to adopt this. Be, do, have. Everything you want to be. Connected, loving, powerful, open, vulnerable, compassionate, generous, authentic. All of those are already accessible to you right now. It's simple, but it's not easy. And when we adopt our ways of being, the doing and the having come and flow naturally. There's a great leader. He was actually supposed to speak here today, but he had a job overseas. His name is Ted Lasso, and he says it this way: taking on a challenge is a lot like riding a horse. If you're comfortable while you're doing it, you're probably doing it wrong. Be, do, have is not comfortable. It is not easy, but it is absolutely worth it. And it is the goodest way to get you off of mute. Thank you all.